All right. Well, if I did this all correctly, I should be live. My name is Nathan Gross. This is the first time I've ever broadcast live. Ooh, gotta get rid of that. If I did this all correctly, I should be live. My name is Nathan Gross. This is the first time I've ever broadcast. All right. Sorry about that. All right. Yes, my name is Nathan Gross. I'm a product designer / UX designer. And what we're going to do today, we're going to jump into Figma. So I created a video, kind of one of the first videos I created for YouTube, where I set up a quick color system using some plugins and some kind of techniques to be a little bit more efficient. And basically, I created this color system where we'd have this could be for a website, this could be for mobile app, etc. But mainly, this was thinking through. We'd have a light mode and a dark mode, and we'd be able to kind of use this as a jumping off point. You can check that video out. It is on my channel, and you can kind of see how I did that. So what I think we're going to do today, we're going to create a little app inside of Figma. We're going to build this pretty much based on like a Twitter clone, right? We're going to use kind of what we learned with the colors and stuff. We're going to set this up to have a light mode and a dark mode theme. And then actually you can't see that. Let me jump over here. There we go. So hopefully you can see Figma. Again, this is all very new to me. I'm using some software called OBS, and that allows me to stream this live and have a little bit of control over what the layout of the screen is and some graphics and whatnot. Anyway, so what I think we're going to do, we're going to create these two screens. Essentially, it's the same screen, just a light mode and a dark mode. We're going to use some auto layout. Probably use an icon set called Font Awesome. I'll show you guys how to bring that in. So let's get started. So I have a little template file that I like to kind of start things from. And I'll kind of walk you through that. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that. I'm going to bring this over into my screencasts. Go ahead and rename this. We'll call it Tweeter. All right, get this sucker opened. So if I go down here to, let's see, I've got some predefined styles set up. And you can see this is very similar to what we did in one of my previous videos. But we've got two action colors set. I've got backgrounds, labels, and I've got basically a light mode and a dark mode theme set here. Now you'll notice that I don't have these styles set up in Figma yet. And kind of the thinking there is that, so this is a kind of a starter template. So I could go in here and, these colors are kind of boring. They're not too exciting. So I can go in here and modify these colors and then generate the styles from there. And a quick way to do that, so I can just select all these colors and I'm going to run this plugin called Chroma Colors. Bam, all those are set up. I'm going to do the same for these for the dark mode. Got those set up, and I'm going to make a couple quick adjustments here. So we've got light, primary, and let's see, action, light primary, action, dark primary. Quaternary goes down there. Backgrounds. Labels. Let's bring these up. So I just like to organize these over here, my local color style, so that if I go in here and create like a rectangle, and then I'm going to choose for my local color styles, I can organize them in this way. So it's a little bit more clear. So let's go ahead and make sure these are all set. Backgrounds, light, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. All right, I think we should be good there. All right, so let's see. Let's go ahead and close this one out. I think that was a duplicate. All right, so what we're gonna do here, we're gonna start with our light mode. You can start light or dark, doesn't really matter. But what I'll show you is when I create this, I'll do it in a way that I'm gonna build this using components, and then as you know, I'll be using nesting of components, and then I'll use that as well for creating the dark theme. So that what you can see here is like, so here's my light. This is a, kind of a tweet component, and you can see that if I move this around, kind of everything else kind of moves with it. So this this dark mode tweet is generated from this light mode tweet. So let's go up here and let's create a new frame. Let's go ahead and set this up. I'm on a iPhone 11 Pro, so we're going to use that. And let's just go ahead and start with, let's see, I think I have a component preset in here. All right, so I've got a nav bar component, and it is set up in light and dark mode. I'm going to go over here, go to my assets, and pull one of those in. Boom, nav bar. We're going to call this home light. And we probably don't need, so we'll turn the title on and we'll hit that back button. Because this is going to be a landing page, so we won't have a back button on that. Turn that off. We'll call this what? Tweeter, something like that. All right, so what I'll do here, well, let's go ahead and get a tab bar going, because that's, well, I don't have one created already as a component in this template. We'll go ahead and get one started here. So I think on iOS, the tab bar is 83 points tall. I'm going to go ahead and set my constraints. I'm going to set it to bottom, and then we're probably set it to scale. So left and right, it'll scale, and then it'll sit at the bottom. So let me give this a background color. Let's see. Background light. Let's make it a secondary. So what happens now is if I set this to fixed, this will, no matter what size this frame adjusts to, it'll just sit down there at the bottom of the frame. All right, so we've got the start of a tab bar. Let's go ahead and create, I think, what did I have? I had home, profile, and settings. Let's see, what I'm also going to do here is go to Font Awesome. And what we want here, we want home. Perfect. And we'll go with a outline. Hopefully I can use this. I'm going to copy the Unicode glyph. And if I just go in here and paste that, and I have to make sure that this is set to Font Awesome. Maybe. There we go, Font Awesome. So it looks like I don't have access to the outline version. Looks like that's a pro feature, and Figma does not ship with that. I guess if I had that font locally, I could use that, but I don't. So we can use the this version here. Let's go ahead and just set this to 24 by 24. I'm going to use one of those colors that I've got set here for the labels. Let's move those backgrounds up. I don't like the way that these are organized. put these backgrounds all up here. Let's see, dark primary, secondary, tertiary, recording. Okay, all right. So we're going to fill this with a label, light, and we'll go, actually, no, we're going to set this to the action color because this is going to be, our active tab. And let's go ahead and give this a label. We'll call it home. Oh, almost forgot. So I've got over here in these styles, I do have some preset iOS and material kind of typographic settings. So I don't have these set yet. So if I wanted to make any adjustments to here, I could do that and then set them in the file. So there's another cool plugin that I have installed, which is called, let's see, generate, what is it called? Textiles Generator. So basically, I believe it looks at either I don't remember if it's the layer name or just the label that's typed in. But basically, it is going to create a set of type styles. It's going to use the settings of all those type layers, excuse me, and then it's going to, it's going to set them up. It's pretty dope. And bam, there they are. All the way from title 1 down to caption 1, 2. So we've got a whole set of styles there. I'm not going to worry about the material because we're just doing kind of an iOS app here. Let's see. All right. So now I've got some typographic labels that I can choose from. We're just going to go ahead and set that to body. Why is this not moving? There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this icon and label, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this into an auto frame. I'm going to hit Shift A, and that's going to get a little wonky. So auto frame, auto layout uses the layer order to kind of determine what's on top or what's on bottom. Usually when you hit that, it implies based on how you have it set up. I don't know why it didn't here. Let me try that again. That's kind of weird. Usually that works. Anyway, all right, so let's see. We're going to go ahead and set this to action light as well. So now I've got a little frame here that can grow and contract based on the content that's inside. Let's see, and I should probably go ahead and make this a component. So I'm going to hit, Command Option K, and now I have a component. So that's a reusable component. So if I make a duplicate of that, I'm going to make an instance of that. Let's go ahead and name this original one to, let's see, tab bar icon. And then let's see, what did we use? I think we had profile and settings. So I'm going to create one more of these. Whoops. So Figma's a little slow. I've got all this streaming software running in the background, and I think it's kind of slowing everything down. So sometimes it doesn't recognize my clicks super well. Let's see, this was profile, settings. So I'm going to pull this one out because that's kind of our master component. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to set this one to, I'm going to give this kind of a little bit more description. We're going to call this active. And now this is going to be kind of like the first nested component. So I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to turn it into a new component. And what you'll see here is that that original one is still there, but it's now nested. So what I can do here is, like, let's say I just want to change these colors to labels, light. Maybe we set it to, let's go all the way to ordinary. So what I can do with these, so now you can see I've got an active, Let's rename this. Maybe default. I can set these both now to default, and now they take on the state. So I've got two icons with two different states. Or sorry, one icon with kind of two different states. And then what I can also do now is go in and let's get a nice profile. Let's see. Probably person. Or the account. Yeah, that'll work. And then we need a settings, or maybe gear. Yeah, we can use this one. That's fine. All right, so you might notice here if I zoom in, see how this icon is kind of getting cut off there? You know, I guess that's probably, actually, if I look at this, these are set to 20, which I don't know why it always defaults to 20. If I hit backspace, I'm gonna just clear that out and set those to auto. But what you were seeing there is this icon, the icon was getting a little bit cut off. One quick way to fix that is this clip content. If we turn that off, then it will allow things to kind of span outside of the frame. All right, this is looking decent. So I'm gonna go back to this original one. So remember, these are nested. So like anything I do to this one will modify this one as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna increase a little bit of spacing so you can see how everything is affected. So probably just set that to like 4. And also I don't love using body here. I think that's what they use for iOS, but I'm gonna go ahead and just disconnect that and probably set this to like 14. I also want to make sure that these are all centered, look good. All right, so now what I'm gonna do, I wanna make sure that these are set up in an auto layout as well. So I'm gonna hit Shift A, and then we're gonna make sure that these are all evenly spaced at, maybe we go like 64. And we want to make sure that this guy is centered in here. And we want to set our constraints to center and center. So again, so let's name this tab bar. Something doesn't look super lined up here. Whoops. All right. I don't love the way this is. I'm going to create an auto layout in this one. Nope, that's not what I meant. I want to create a grid so we can kind of see what is going on here. I'm going to do 3 columns. We're going to set the gutter to 0. And then, let's see, maybe a better way to do this. Let's set these all to be fixed. I feel like I should have done this on the original component here. That should be centered in there. All right. Well, I think we have a somewhat decent tab bar here. You know, one thing that's also included on iOS, I don't know if I have a component built for this, but you've got the little home indicator. I think this is about 5 by 120 maybe, with some rounded corners. And I think we should get that in here. Let's group this and call this tabs. Name this home indicator. We want this to the bottom, and we can say center, because we don't necessarily want that one scaling. That's probably a little bit big. Maybe not. We'll set this to one of our preset colors here. This would probably be label quaternary. And we should also set our tab bar with a background color. I think that looks decent. Bring this guy down a little bit. All right, we can make adjustments to that as we go if necessary, but I think that's a decent start. We'll get these out of the way. All right, so I think we can start making the kind of individual tweet components. So you can see here we've got kind of like a tweet body. We've got some action, like a little footer, maybe a little informational piece about who's retweeted it, and then like or who's favorited it, I guess. Let me zoom in a little bit on that so you can see it. And then an avatar kind of sitting there on the left. So pretty much what we'll do is we'll create all of this stuff in using auto layout, and that'll make sure that it's flexible and fluid no matter what content flows in there. And then I think we can use some plugins to help generate these avatars, and then randomize, or not randomize, but kind of fill in some somewhat realistic information, like first and last names, and I think I can randomize these numbers and stuff like that. So let's kind of build those pieces out. Let's go back over here. We're going to create a new frame, and this is going to be kind of the basis of our tweet component. So let's just call this tweet. We can even pull it off to the side here. Nah, we'll do it. We'll maintain it here. Let's give it just a little background so we can see it for now. And let's start with that kind of tweet body. Go ahead and set this to body. We want it left aligned. Let's see, what did I use for that? I used a plugin to generate probably 3 sentences. Yeah, this is just a lorem ipsum generator plugin. I think. All right, that works. We're going to create some space for the avatar. I think we made that about 50 by 50. Let's see. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a single line text for, so let's see how I kind of built these. So I think these are all individual auto layout kind of not components, but frames. So what I'll do is I'm going to create, well, let's see, let's go back over here and find a heart. Copy that. this font awesome. Oh, not brands. Why does it keep defaulting to brands? I'm just going to use the same text layer. What do we say? Like? What was the action? We just put the number of. Okay, so for now we'll just fill that with 100. So let's go ahead and I'm going to turn this into an auto layout frame by hitting. So I got both of them selected. I'm going to hit Shift A. I think probably about 8 would be a good value for our separation on these. We can set this to our action color because we're assuming that if you tap on that, that'll add a like to it. I think this would be probably our label, maybe secondary. I think we might have to dial those colors in a little bit. We'll call this, what do we want to call this? Action, maybe. So I'm going to create a duplicate of that. And then what did we have? Oh, okay, sorry. So we've got comments and then likes and then a share button. So that's fine. So go back over to Font Awesome. I think they have a share. Do they have a share? That's fine. We can use that. Let's find a comment. That's reply. What happened there? There we go. So I can use the open heart. Yeah, okay. I guess I can't use that. Where did I get these from? That's right. I used SF symbols for these. Okay, let's do that. I like SF symbols anyway. And they'll fit a little bit better in line with. So SF symbols, this is, Apple released this with iOS 13. If you aren't familiar with these, you can download this from Apple's website. You may have to log in to the developer account. I'm not sure, but if you do a little Googling, you can find that. So let's do these. Yeah, I like these better. So let's get that open heart. Now I got to turn these back. See here, and here's the cool thing too. And I don't have to, when we use the SF symbols, it's all just the same font. So what I can do is just go across here, set these all to body. And let's see, what did we say? Share. Yeah, that looks so much better. And then bubble, there we go. There we go. All right, that's looking a little better. Okay. Whoops. So we want to make sure these are nice, evenly spaced. So let's go ahead and select these 3 actions and set these as an auto frame. And let's see, probably 24, maybe 48. Give a little nice space there. And what do we have on top? Okay, that's right. Which of your friends liked this? So we can probably start with one of these and just delete what we don't need. Should have started with the heart. Let's do this. Let's say first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill these in, these little text labels with some kind of placeholder text. So we're going to use a plugin to replace these later with actual first names and last names to make it look a little bit more realistic. So I'm going to duplicate this. We'll call this last. So we're going to use auto layout to our advantage here. We're gonna do a little bit more kind of organization with these so that these two text labels can be closer together than they are with the icon. So we're just going to go ahead and nest those into another one. So we'll call this auto layout. We'll call this like name. And so maybe these are 4. Our separation of these are 4. And then from the icon, it's 8. So it's double the space. So we've got first and last name. And then what did we say? Liked. And 78 others. Okay, that's right. And 78. Well, we'll just put a number, an easy number there. So the reason why I'm using these individual, rather than just typing all this out on one line, the plugin is going to look for individual like text layers that it can find and replace. We can fill these in. So it still looks like a single string going across, but keeping them separate gives us a little bit more flexibility when we start putting in kind of real content. This is kind of a good way to think about breaking your text labels up like this, so you can name them, using kind of like variable names, I guess, to kind of indicate, on the implementation side, on the coding side of how these, where this information is going to kind of be pulled from. All right, so we're getting there. I think what we can do now is probably set these 3 things into kind of a column auto layout. So I'm going to hit Shift A again. Everything goes to center. We don't really want that. We're going to call this content. I want to make sure everything's kind of left aligned here. And then probably tighten this up a little bit. I think 8 was probably good. $64. All right. So I think what we can do now. Did I set that as an auto layout as well or not? What's throwing me off here is getting the avatar in with the auto layout. Okay, I aligned it to the top. That's right. Okay, yep. Cool. So we've got kind of a column of content, and then we're going to set the avatar in the content as an auto frame, and that's just going to nicely kind of sit up in the top left. Let's go ahead and give this a little bit of styling here. About 8 points on the rounded rectangle. We're going to go ahead and name that tweet. Let's name this avatar. Whoops. I think that's looking decent. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make this a component so we can reuse it. And let's just go ahead and pull this out off of here. And then we'll drag an instance of that component back in here. I'll drag out a couple duplicates of it. Start to see what that looks like. All right, let's get rid of that background. Make that just white. And then we're gonna set, let's see, we want a little separation in between these. And I probably did it with a drop shadow. Yeah, probably just a 1. Yeah, no blur. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is create a little bit of a drop shadow. And to give the appearance of a line, we're going to remove all the blur, set that to 0, and just do the Y offset to just 1. So the reason why we can't see that drop shadow in this kind of column view here is because these are all butted up with 0 spacing. If we throw all these into an auto layout and bump that spacing up to 1, now, because that drop shadow is sitting outside of the component, that now shows up. Now we can probably adjust the color a little bit. We probably don't need it that dark. Maybe about 10% black. And that's probably pretty good. So let's go ahead and, I think if I pull up so you should be able to see my phone now. Okay, we're getting there. It's not completely dialed in, but it's looking decent. So what I want to do is let's start filling in some data. Let's start pulling in some data that starts to make these feel a little bit more realistic. I believe that was a plugin from Microsoft. And I kind of forget what the name of it was. It wasn't the avatars one. Let's go ahead and browse the Figma community. I'm gonna go check on my stream here real quick, see what's going on. Seems like we're still good. Very good. Okay, so I'm gonna go here to the plugins. I'm gonna look. Can I just search for Microsoft? Oh no, there it is, right there. Content Reel. That's the one. I believe this is by Microsoft. So this is pretty slick. So probably one of the plugins, or not plugins, one of the keyboard shortcuts I use more than anything in Figma is Command and then the slash key. It brings up this menu and it just goes straight to the search, so you can just type in anything you're looking for, any plugin, any command that's in there, and you can just access it very quickly. So I'm just going to look for Content Reel, and we're going to run this plugin. It's been a while since I've used this. So let's see. First names. Look at that. So it starts to fill that in. Cool. I think I can. Okay, so I don't have to do these two separate labels. So let's just go ahead and do a single text label for the name. So if I select this and hit apply, now it's still going to be the same one in all these duplicated ones, but I believe we can solve that here in a little bit. So we've got the name in there. That's cool. I think if we select this, we can use, I think they have an avatar. We can do male and female. Bam. I think we can do numbers. So let's go to the settings for numbers. Hundreds. Yeah, let's make this person have just fantastic tweets. Everyone loves them. So we'll go in the hundreds. we'll do that. I guess we'll do the same for these as well. So now we're starting to put some, quasi-realistic data in here that starts to help us inform our, design decisions and whatnot. Let's go ahead and I think there's some subtle little things we can kind of dial in here. So first of all, let's make this, oops. I think the best way to okay. So what I did, I just set this whole component to auto layout. And now we can control kind of the spacing inside the frame. And you can see, probably go to a standard 16 there and probably make that 8 on the top and bottom. Gives a little bit more breathing room. And we could really we could probably dial all this in a little bit. Make that 12, give that a little more space. Let's go back to just all windows there. All right, let me see if I can remember how to, do I have to go in and select all of these? Or is there a way? How do I get that to go away? Let's pull this out. Thought there was a way that I could quickly select all of these and just say like update based on the original kind of link. But that doesn't seem to work. But if I select them all, okay, that works. Okay, so let's set the let's do that last. Let's go ahead and build out the rest of the components here and stuff that we need, and then we can kind of customize or randomize the data in a bit. So we'll call this frame here, we're going to call this list. That's going to be our list of tweets, right? I think we can close that out for now. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to Command Option K, make that another component. So let's go ahead and name this original one light, and then this one dark. Now, we don't want to change any of the layout here. We want it to be mostly the same. We just want to adjust the colors. So let's start with, why is that background? Oh, yeah. Let's set the background to background dark, primary. Ooh, we want this not to be black, but we want it to be not background. We want it to be label dark. Hopefully we're using our preset colors on all this. Had to reorganize my colors a little bit. Let's see, labels light. I want to make sure these are all updated as well. Yeah, so now we've got a light and a dark tweet, anything that we do to the original light, you know, is going to update the dark as well. So that's kind of cool. Let's see. What else do we need to do here? Let's go ahead and add a few more to our list here, and then we'll make it scrollable. Let's fix position to the top and center. Let's fix to the bottom and scale. We want to make that scale. Why can't we set that to scale? All right. Now let's go ahead and, let's update the content that we have in here. Let's bring that plugin back up. Randomize that. So here, I'll show you another plugin. So there's I've got a bunch of these components instances, and inside there, all the layers are going to be the names of the layers are all going to be the same as the original component, right? So what I can do is select a layer that I know I want to select all of the same layer within this component. So I'm going to use this plugin called Similayer, Similayer. And what this allows me to do, it gives me a bunch of these kind of preset, layer properties or different properties that I can use to find the same layer. I want the same layer layer name. So if I select that and hit select layers, okay. All right, that didn't work because I have name in not just the text layer, but also the auto frame, auto layout frame above it. So if I go back to the original and let's name this light or something. Now I should be able to go back. Similar layer name. Select all. Perfect. Now I can go back to content reel, names. Okay. All right. We've got a couple issues here. We're starting to see our layout is breaking a bit because we have a long name that's kind of going beyond what we were expecting. So I think we can fix that. I might have to think about this a little bit, but I'm going to bring this original one down so I can zoom in and see them both together. I believe, can I just set that to clip? No, let's see. There's got to be a way. What I want to, I think I can use clip content in a way. How can we do this? How can we solve this? Well, this is not going to solve it, but this is just going to help my OCD a little bit. I want these all aligned to the left. So this is one thing that I'm not 100% sure I understand about auto layout. So there's two kind of modes for auto layout. Let me just select this one here. So this frame is set to an auto layout. And you can lay things out horizontally or vertically. And then based on that, let me go back to that selection. So horizontally and vertically. And then you can also set to fixed or auto height. But sometimes you want an auto width or a fixed width on a horizontally spaced layout, if that makes sense. Because what it would be nice is if I could give this a fixed width and then set the clipping to clip content. I mean, one thing I could do is in this list, well, no. If I set this to be fixed, I made it 320. That doesn't work. Do I set the name? No, because you don't want the name to be cutting off. Okay, I'm gonna have to investigate this maybe after this video. I'm just drawing a blank on trying to solve this. I think for now I'm gonna go back and we're just gonna use a first name. We're just gonna make it fit for now, and I'll try to figure out a way to do that to get auto layout to work with wider variances or tolerances for long text labels. So let's go back to that little trick. Similar. We want layer name. Bring up content reel. Adjust names to just do, we'll just say first name. Okay. And let's do, oh wait, I was gonna adjust the wrong one there. So right now, this text box, the tweet text box is kind of it's the widest thing. It's the one that's kind of breaking this. We want this to be 300, or let's see, what do we want? 375. We want 375. This can be 375. So it can fit on the phone. So we want to make this a little bit smaller. Nope, no, that's too big. Just trying to do some. So plus, what was that? Plus 7. All right. I'm not 100% satisfied with that, with the way I just kind of fixed that, but I'll see if I can come up with a better way to solve these issues. So the other thing we need to do is I want to set this to be scrolling. We want to remove the auto layout from this. We want vertical scrolling. So if I bring this back up to show my iPhone, select this frame. Now we should have that working. So I think this is going to be a problem with, I'm gonna make the dark mode version of this. And you would think that if we just select all these tweets and make them the dark versions, but I think it's going to reset all of our customized data that we've brought in. But let's just see here. Let's see what happens if I change these all to dark. Yeah, see, it just kind of resets it to. That's a little bit unfortunate. All right, let's create components out of our tab bar and our nav bar as well. That was never a component in the first place. Okay, so let's go ahead and make that a component. We'll call this tab bar light. And then we'll duplicate it, and then same thing. Whoops. And we'll make this one tab bar dark. So secondary light, we want this to be secondary dark. We should also set these to, now even though my action colors are both the same, from a like hex code value, we do have them as separate colors, so that if we wanted to change the dark to be slightly darker, so it didn't vibrate as much on the background, the black background, we could do that. We'd have an individual color that we could adjust. But right now, they're exactly the same colors. Let's see. Set these all to. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these because those were never set up as components. I'm just going to drag out. I'm using the the option or Alt key, and that just allows me to bring out an instance of that. And I got to reset it to, let's see, scale bottom and then fix position. And then I'll do the same thing here. Bring out an instance of that. Set that to the bottom, centered. And we want to make sure that this is, let's see, scale, bottom, and fix position. All right. Let's go ahead and drag this guy out, make a component. Oh wait, these already are set up as components. That's right. If you look, these are already set up in components in this kind of little template starter file. So I can just go in here and say dark default. Ooh, not perfect. Why is that not? Because it's going to somewhere else. It's going all the way back out to somewhere else. We don't want that. Dark. That's weird. Anyway, okay. We can work with this. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that back button, turn that tile on. I don't know why this share button's showing up. We can turn that off. All right, so now if I select this, we should have two pretty good. Something's not right there. Let's go ahead and quit that out. There we go. Yeah, we got to fix that drop shadow as well. So I think what we'll do, we're going to go back to this original one. And I was using opacity. I think we want to do that with a solid color. Not 100% sure I want to do this, but let's go ahead and set this to 100 and then go in and adjust the lightness. Well, we were at 10%, so we got a 90. That should be the same. And then for the dark, because if we use transparency, we're not going to be able to darken black because this background is 100% black. So we want to just set a we want to set that drop shadow to be 10% white, probably. Maybe a little bit lighter because that's not showing up much. Maybe 20%. And that looks pretty good. All right, not bad, not bad. And then we can, this is real simple, but we'll just set this tab to link up to here. And it's just so we can kind of quickly look at, gosh, I got to remember what you guys are all seeing here. Okay. So that's decent. If I hit settings, you can see that toggling back and forth. We could probably make that a little bit nicer. So we could say, oops. We can make that dissolve. I don't know if this comes up on the through the stream or not, but you can see how it kind of fades in a little better. So let's go back and fix kind of our content here. I'm going to pull this out. And rather than resizing it, I'm just going to uncheck that clip content. And that will allow me to, actually, I'll just go down here and select all those. So I'm using the command key. If I hit the command key, it allows me to make more, I don't know, customized selections like that, if that makes sense. Kind of got to kind of play with it to fully understand it, I guess, but I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to describe things with words. You just got to kind of do it. All right, what was that? Content reel. Let's do male and female. And the other thing here is like these are not going to be the same because it does just randomize it. So you see like the first guy here is not the same first guy here. But again, we're not pulling from a real database or anything like that. We're just kind of brushing up on some Figma basics here. And then we could even, let's see, we got the names there. You know, we could, if we really wanted to, let's be a little bit smarter about how we are organizing and naming our data so we can make it easier to kind of make these selections with the plugin. So we're going to call this maybe value. And then we'll name this one likes value. I'm not even sure what would these numbers be the same? I don't really know. This was not a super well thought out bit of content here, but that way, now that we've got those renamed, now I can just select these by comments value. Or no, we want layer name. There, and even selected the ones that were hidden. That's cool. Numbers, and let's just make them all tens. They're not that, these tweets aren't that great. So now we've got some variability in our, whoops, we want to select the whole list. All right, well, I think that about sums this up. Let me go back to this original file and see if I had really anything different. I mean, you know, I think the aesthetics are a little bit better here. So if we wanted to make this stuff look a little better, let's turn off the grid. I think some of my colors are not great. So this is set to like the tertiary gray, and it doesn't really seem that much lighter from the primary, even though it's like 2 levels lighter. So what we can do, because we're using styles for everything, here's our labels for light and dark mode. So if we look here, this is 100% black. Let's see. Labels primary, yeah, so this is 100% black. If we go to labels light secondary, we can see, I think we're going up by, are we doubling? 16, and then tertiary is 32. Maybe it needs to go even lighter. Maybe we start at 32. Oops. Maybe this one becomes 64. Let's see. What are we going up by? That'll be 128. That's gonna be super light. That's because it's only to 100. Let's see. Need a better scale for that. Well, we'll just eyeball it for now, but we got to figure out a little better scale for that. Okay, certainly a lot lighter. So let's go back over here and we'll see that's considerably lighter. So maybe these, yeah. Should do that on the original component anyway. I don't love that space there. You know, I thought I wanted to have kind of variable spacing, but I think it's really probably fine altogether. Yep. I guess this would be probably black and white. Yeah, these are a little too light now. Tertiary is probably pretty good. Anyway, this is kind of what I set out to do. I would probably not call this a really compelling YouTube stream today. This was very unprepared. This is my first one. Probably takes a little more planning to go into something like this. You know, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's all new to me, but whoops. It's weird being on live. You know, I don't know if anyone's watching. I haven't seen any comments come through, but it's kind of a unique and interesting experience. I know I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do some more of this. It's fun. I think one of the main drivers for me to do this, you know, the other video I posted over a month ago, I guess almost 2 months ago, I shot it on a nice camera, nice lighting, and went in and edited it. You know, had a script. It took an incredibly long time to create that content. And I just, yeah, I want to put more stuff out, but I don't want to take 2-3 days to do it. So if I do it live, like Bill O'Reilly says, we'll do it live. Maybe it'll be a little bit quicker. I'll get better at the kind of winging these things, but anyway, I think that's it for now, and maybe see you guys later. If I can figure out how to turn this thing off. All right, see you guys.